Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Another example of House Republicans putting the show ahead of any kind of policy agenda.
A blatant double standard is being applied here. And what is the difference between Rep. Omar and these members? Could it be the way that she looks?
It's a political stunt, and it is a disservice to the American people.
Republican lawmakers are calling for swift action against Ilhan Omar following her latest remarks that sparked anger across Washington. Many in the GOP say there's a clear double standard, claiming Democrats protect their own members while coming down hard on conservatives like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They point out that while Greene has repeatedly faced public criticism for her comments, Omar's recent statements about conservative commentator Charlie Kirk have yet to face serious consequences. Now, Republicans are pushing for formal discipline, arguing that Congress must apply the same standards of accountability to everyone, no matter their party. The controversy has once again brought the issue of fairness and consistency in political judgment back into the spotlight.
The white supremacy happening is unbelievable. This is just a bunch of racist gaslighting. We all know it. They turn Congress into a place of fear-mongering hate. I am so sorry, has expired. That our country is failing you today through this chamber. You belong in that committee.
Is no longer.
My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been.
On the Ingram angle asterisk, Laura Ingram took aim at what she described as the tears of clowns, criticizing Democrats for showing outrage over others while overlooking the harsh or divisive comments coming from their own side. Ingram argued that Ilhan Omar has repeatedly gone too far with her remarks, yet major liberal media outlets continue to protect and defend her. She pointed out that conservatives are often condemned immediately for controversial statements, while progressives tend to escape backlash by leaning on identity politics. Her pointed commentary quickly spread online, sparking widespread discussion and intensifying the already heated divide between the two political sides.
So utterly disingenuous, and yet so predictable. The party that presided over the weaponization of government agencies from the FBI to the EPA is suddenly crying foul? And why? Because their committee position was actually put to a vote. How dare they be held accountable for their own toxic words and abysmal record? Well, naturally, their dog-eared scripts about racism and misogyny came in handy.
One of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America, and this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body. Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks. This is about targeting women of color.
Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene fired back strongly, accusing Democrats of using outrage as a political tool rather than a call for real accountability. She reminded reporters that she lost her committee positions early in her term over comments made before she even entered Congress. Yet, she noted, Ilhan Omar continues to hold her roles and support within the Democratic Party despite a long list of controversial remarks. Greene's sharp response struck a chord with many conservatives, who see the situation as another example of unfair treatment and double standards in Washington. Her remarks drew loud applause from Republican supporters who say the ongoing debate over Omar shows how uneven the rules have become between the two sides.
Now, talk about a double standard. When Republicans lose committee assignments, it's tough luck. When Democrats lose them, and are put up to an actual vote, no less, it's Armageddon. But let's be blunt here. Omar lost her position on the Foreign Affairs Committee not because she's a Muslim or wears a headscarf. She lost it because over the years she's made a series of anti-Semitic comments. She wasn't treated unfairly. The newly elected House decided that they didn't want someone with her views involved in the oversight of U.S. foreign policy. She's free to serve on other committees, but she should not serve in this particular role given her radical and anti-Semitic history. Yeah, I know she's made some apologies, but apparently they weren't convincing.
Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace has formally introduced a motion to censure Ilhan Omar, calling her recent remarks about Charlie Kirk deeply offensive and completely inappropriate for a member of Congress. Mesa's resolution urges lawmakers to publicly condemn Omar's language and restate the House's responsibility to uphold civility and respect in political debate. The proposal has stirred mixed reactions, even among Republicans. Some members see it as more of a symbolic gesture meant to send a message, while others insist it's a necessary step to draw a clear line against divisive and inflammatory rhetoric. The move has sparked fresh discussion about where the limits of political speech should be set inside Congress.
I certainly did not or was not aware that the word hypnotize was a trope. I wasn't aware of the fact that there are tropes about Jews and money. That has been a very enlightening part of this journey.
Oh, this journey. If Democrats want to make this an issue, well, they could try. But the notion that she was discriminated against because of her race or her religious background is laughable. We don't need to run through her old clips. We're all sick of hearing her and hearing them.
Democrats have strongly rejected the Republican effort, dismissing it as nothing more than a political stunt. They argue that Ilhan Omar's remarks were misunderstood and taken out of context, claiming the GOP is using the controversy to divert attention from its own internal issues involving figures like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Progressive lawmakers have also stepped in, saying Omar is being unfairly singled out because of who she is and the bold positions she takes. What could have been a simple disagreement has now escalated into yet another national debate, one centered on free speech, double standards, and the deep partisan divide shaping Congress today.
The notion that the party of Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi have any leg to stand on to complain about any of this is absurd. They packed the Jan 6 committee with toadies and two Trump-hating Republicans, and they kicked Marjorie Taylor Greene off all committees because they didn't like her views. At the time, we warned Democrats they were setting a precedent that would come back to bite them. But they didn't listen.
The controversy quickly exploded across social media and major news networks, drawing a flood of divided reactions from the public. Conservative commentators accused mainstream outlets of downplaying Omar's remarks, saying the media was once again protecting a favored figure. On the other hand, liberal voices argued that Omar was simply exercising her right to express her opinions, calling the backlash exaggerated and politically motivated. The debate has now become another flashpoint in the broader cultural battle over where to draw the line between hate speech and fair political criticism. As the story continues to unfold, both Omar and Greene remain at the center of the storm, trending heavily online and fueling one of Washington's most heated discussions of the week.
The GOP, though, was not doing this in a tit-for-tat moment. Kicking Schiff and Swalwell off their Intel committee or Omar off her Foreign Affairs committee. No, Republicans, by doing that, were being pragmatic.
At the center of the controversy is conservative activist Charlie Kirk, whose name Ilhan Omar mentioned in remarks that many Republicans viewed as deeply inappropriate. Kirk quickly responded on social media, condemning her statements and accusing her of fueling division at a time when the country needs unity. His reaction drew strong backing from conservative supporters, who echoed his call for accountability in Congress. For many Republican leaders, this isn't just about a single comment, it's about setting clear consequences for elected officials who, in their view, consistently make statements that undermine national unity or show disrespect toward the country's values. The situation has only intensified calls for higher standards of conduct among lawmakers.
You know Swalwell should not serve on the Intel. I'd love to take a show of hands here. How many believe, if you're a member of Congress and the FBI says nothing, but the moment your leadership appoints you to the Intel committee, the FBI comes knocking on the leadership's door and says, we have a problem, this person has a relationship with a Chinese spy. How many believe that that person should stay on Intel? Now, the chairman of the Intel committee, Adam Schiff, I actually believe I helped him. Because what he did to the Intel committee, he used that position as chairman, knowing classified information that others didn't, and he conveyed to the American public something that was not true to try to confuse them on a number of times.
This isn't the first time Ilhan Omar has come under fire for her remarks. In the past, she's faced sharp criticism for comments that some viewed as anti-Israel or insensitive towards certain groups. Each incident has reignited the debate over whether Omar is a bold voice challenging the status quo or someone who repeatedly crosses the line and stirs division. With the latest controversy involving Charlie Kirk, her critics argue that she continues to push the limits of acceptable political speech, while her supporters insist she's being unfairly targeted for her background and outspoken views. The divide over Omar's role in Congress shows no sign of fading, as both sides remain firmly entrenched in their positions.
Bingo. I gotta tell you, McCarthy has deftly handled this so far. Well, the press, of course, came at him, teeth bared today. He hit back.
Tit for tat, retribution that your new majority is taking against a Democratic member of the House. Is this the message you want to send to voters?
No, and that's the clear part, how it's not tit for tat. So the Democrats in the last Congress removed Republican members from all committees. They even judged one Republican member not based upon what she had said as a member of Congress, but what she said prior to ever getting here. This is nothing like the last Congress where you never had an open rule. So I've had Democrats coming up to me telling me we're running it much better, especially the time allotment.
For Republicans, the push to censure Ilhan Omar has turned into a rallying cause aimed at exposing what they see as Democratic double standards and reinforcing party unity before the next elections. Prominent GOP figures such as Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, and Jim Jordan have voiced strong support for Nancy Mace's resolution, describing it as a stand for fairness and integrity in Congress. They argue that if Democrats truly value accountability and tolerance, they should hold their own members to the same standards they demand from others. Beyond the political symbolism, the effort is also seen as a way to energize conservative voters and strengthen the party's message heading into the campaign season.
Now, lost in all the recent praise for Nancy Pelosi as a historic, brilliant speaker is the following. She made a huge mistake by giving these fringe fools those assignments on committees in the first place. Omar never should have been on her committee, but Pelosi moved to placate the squad on that and so many other issues, like putting metal detectors in Congress, the fences around the Capitol, radical climate policies. And in the end,
as of now, it's uncertain whether Representative Nancy Mace's motion to censure Ilhan Omar will advance or be halted by the Democratic majority in the House. But regardless of the outcome, the controversy has already made its mark, keeping Omar firmly in the political spotlight and reigniting the ongoing clash between progressives and conservatives. Whether the motion passes or stalls, the episode has once again laid bare the deep divisions in Washington, where even one comment can spark days of outrage, blame, and political grandstanding. It's a reminder of how quickly national debates can shift from policy to personality in today's polarized climate.
That hard turn to the left was a major reason why they lost the majority. So the Democrats find themselves in an unenviable position, not because of systemic racism or political revenge. They're in this mess because they abused their position. They acted irresponsibly and vengefully. And they lied over and over again, including about January 6th. 2 nights ago, we heard this from NBC News.
The January 6th committee's final report was more than 800 pages, but some material did not make.
Under increasing pressure, Ilhan Omar addressed the controversy at a press conference, dismissing the GOP's response as nothing more than a political circus. She argued that her remarks about Charlie Kirk were twisted and taken out of context by conservative outlets, insisting that her record reflects a steady commitment to justice, equality, and public service, not hostility or division. Omar maintained that her words were being unfairly weaponized for political gain. However, her firm defense did little to calm the backlash. Critics said she sidestepped accountability and tried to portray herself as a victim instead of taking responsibility or offering a genuine apology, which only intensified the debate around her remarks.
The cut, including much of its findings on the failures of federal law enforcement leading up to the attack.
The chief investigator of the January 6th committee says the government could have prevented it.
Law enforcement had a very direct role in contributing to the failures, the security failures that led to the violence.
The law enforcement had a direct role, security failures that led to the violence? Excuse me? I love how kind of NBC acts like, okay, this is a one-day story, nothing more to talk about.
As the controversy grew, conservatives started accusing major media networks of shielding Ilhan Omar from serious criticism. They noted that when Marjorie Taylor Greene makes headlines, her remarks are covered non-stop and widely condemned, while Omar's controversies often disappear from the news cycle after a short burst of attention. Commentators on right-leaning platforms pointed to this as clear evidence of media bias that favors progressive politicians. They argue that if fairness and accountability truly mattered, every lawmaker, regardless of party or background, would face the same level of scrutiny and public criticism. The claim has further fueled long-standing tensions over how the media handles political coverage in America.
Pelosi and Schumer could have stopped January 6th before it started. They ignored all the warnings. Why? We ever going to get that question answered? Now, if a real Republican was actually on that January 6th committee, we would have heard about this months ago. But that's how the Democrats ran the House. Zero transparency, aided by a media.
In a heated exchange on the House floor, Marjorie Taylor Greene delivered a forceful speech condemning what she called the hypocrisy surrounding Ilhan Omar's treatment. She drew a direct comparison between the harsh penalties she once faced and the relative leniency shown to Omar, arguing that this double standard is eroding public trust in Congress. Greene's remarks sparked a mix of applause and pushback from lawmakers, underscoring just how divided the chamber has become. Her speech quickly spread across conservative media outlets, amplifying the debate and deepening the sense of political tension in Washington.
Well, those days are over. So buckle up, libs, and dry those crocodile tears. Republicans have 2 years' worth of questions that need answering. This is our House now, and that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Strengthening the view that Republicans are taking a stand against selective accountability, Democratic leaders swiftly united behind Ilhan Omar, making it clear they would block any effort to censure or discipline her. Prominent progressives such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley came to Omar's defense, dismissing the GOP's push as a politically motivated distraction meant to stir division. They argued that Republicans have overlooked far more serious controversies among their own members, including inflammatory statements and online behavior. The unified Democratic response further highlighted the growing partisan divide, with both sides accusing the other of hypocrisy and double standards.
That not only refused to hold them accountable, but actively ran cover for them.
The strong defense of Ilhan Omar by Democratic leaders solidified her standing within the party but also deepened frustration among conservatives, who saw it as a clear act of partisanship. On the Ingram angle Laura Ingram revisited the issue, arguing that Omar's defenders were upset only because they were finally being challenged. She described it as the tears of clowns, politicians playing the victim while avoiding accountability. Her blunt commentary quickly went viral, with millions of views online and widespread praise from viewers who felt she was exposing hypocrisy in Washington. Ingram's segment also sparked a side debate over whether TV hosts like her now have more influence on public opinion than elected officials themselves. Meanwhile, although many Republicans rallied behind Nancy Mace's resolution to censure Omar, some moderate members voiced concerns that it could backfire politically, making the GOP appear more focused on personal battles than real policy work. Mace pushed back firmly, saying moral consistency must come before politics. She argued that if lawmakers can't denounce offensive language on both sides, they lose the moral authority to lead. Her unwavering stance earned respect from conservatives nationwide and boosted her visibility on the national stage. Once the story spread across platforms like X, Instagram, and YouTube, it quickly divided Americans. Hashtags such as ****, #SendShoma***, and #StandWithIlhan** trended at the same time, showing just how polarized the country has become. Comment sections filled with memes, short videos, and heated debates, supporters defending Omar's right to speak freely while critics demanded equal standards for everyone in Congress. It became yet another online battleground, a reminder of how social media often fuels outrage faster than facts can catch up. The controversy even crossed borders, with international media, particularly in Europe and the Middle East, covering the story. Some outlets portrayed the backlash against Omar as politically motivated, while others criticized her remarks as irresponsible for a member of Congress. The global attention underscored how U.S. political drama often resonates far beyond its borders, shaping international perceptions of American democracy. In the wake of the uproar, several lawmakers suggested revisiting House ethics rules to better define what constitutes acceptable speech. They argued that both Ilhan Omar and Marjorie Taylor Greene have repeatedly tested those boundaries, proving the need for clearer standards. Others, however, dismissed the idea, saying outrage has become part of Congress's identity, and that political theater too often overshadows real reform. As the dust begins to settle, the clash between Omar, Greene, and Mace highlights a deeper issue: Congress's growing obsession with performative politics. Instead of focusing on policy and problem-solving, lawmakers appear trapped in a cycle of outrage, accusations, and media spectacle. For voters, it's becoming harder to tell whether these fights stem from genuine principle or the desire for attention. The Omar controversy will eventually fade, but its message is lasting. In today's political climate, one statement can dominate headlines for weeks, pushing Americans even further apart.